r/AskReddit. What's the strangest conversation you've accidentally eavesdropped on? Black family in the Christmas decorations aisle. 3-year-old. Dad. Can we get a white man for Christmas? Shocked dad. What 3-year-old? A white man points at shelf. Shocked dad. Looks where son is pointing and laughs. No son. That's called a snowman. I was pulling up to an intersection with a bus stop right as the light turned green. I crept by this stop and all I heard was an old black dude saying that's how the mother ducker took my leg. I look out my passenger window to see him with a prosthetic in his hand, sitting in a wheelchair, facing the other people at the bus stop. IDK what story they heard, but it was damned good. Heard over a cube wall at work. You promised that we would get a divorce after you got your green card. A few kids were debating on what happened to the poop after you flushed it on the train. One believed it exploded on impact with the rails. Another debated the possibility of it being shot out of the side like a cannon. And another knew it was used to fuel the train. He knew it was used as fuel. Not something I heard, but what someone eavesdropped on me. I used to work at a restaurant, and every member of the kitchen staff was Indian, and didn't speak English very well. There was one white guy that worked there, and for whatever reason, they all called him Ding Ding. White guy was having a birthday party, and invited us all. One of the Indian guys and myself were standing outside the restaurant smoking, and the Indian guy says to me, Indian accent, "Hey man, you going to Ding Ding party?" A guy walking by us stopped and said, "I'm sorry, I just overheard you guys, and I have to know what a Ding Ding party is." I couldn't stop laughing, and eventually told him what it was. I was on the train listening to a woman yell on the phone that she wouldn't be able to make it to her dentist appointment because she had left her teeth at home. Happens to the best of us. Didn't hear the full conversation, but I walked in on 2 employees at a convenience store with the conversation ending with the phrase, "And that's when we hid the clams." This is one of the simplest stories in this thread, and yet it's the only that's made me laugh more than a chuckle. Thanks for sharing. Killing time in Starbucks before my bus comes when 2 well-dressed businessmen walk in. Hey. Crazy day yesterday. Ha ha ha. Yeah. I didn't know you could train dogs to do that. It haunts me. I have so many questions that will never be answered. I was once in a Starbucks in Boston and witnessed a breakup which was immediately followed a failed proposal attempt. It was the craziest thing. The dude was very into her and her body language did not reply in a copacetic manner. He confessed his love to her. She replied that it wasn't gonna work and she might need some time. He replied, "We have the rest of our lives to figure it out. So you have time then." He got down on a knee, pulled out a ring. She stood up and said, "This is what I am talking about. You don't listen." She asked him to stand up. He said with tears in his eyes, "Why? I am still waiting for an answer." She gathered her things, took left out the back. The man sat back down and finished his frappuccino while crying. I refer to the story as the saddest cold coffee beverage ever. I overheard 2 guys on the subway in NYC discussing what was the perfect handgun caliber to whack someone. There was a small dude who was adamant that the best gun was a 9mm because that's what cops use. Then the big dude starts shaking his head negatively, goes on to give a small speech about anatomy and ballistics, then proceeds to state that a competent assassin would use a mere .22 handgun, since it's hard to track. Ammo is cheap and you can mag dump someone in the head without anyone knowing it's gunfire. I was eating beside two older gentlemen at a bar, and I hear one of them say something like, "That stupid cat follows me everywhere. I've told my granddaughter to keep it away from me, but everyone thinks it's funny. I can't get away from it." There's silence between the two, and then the second older man laughs. "You secretly love that little hairball, don't you?" The guy lets out a giant, irritated sigh and sullenly admits, "Yes." I was in line for a roller coaster years ago when I overheard a 12-year-old and her even younger sister talking to two nice strangers, all standing in line behind me. The 12-year-old was talking about how she lives on a farm with her grandparents, her little sister and her newborn kid. She goes on and on about her young kid, and how her grandparents homeschool her so she has time to raise and take care of her kid, and how her little sister is helping too. She goes on to describe how little and precious and sweet her kid is and how much she loves her. I spent the entire time in line stunned and speechless and impressed by how engaged and unbothered the two strangers were during the whole conversation, i.e. asking to see pictures etc. It wasn't until we got to the front of the line that I realized she meant kid, as in a baby goat. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more Reddit content.